For generations, your family, the Kuzlans, has stewarded the lands of Highever, earning the loyalty of your people with justice and temperance. When your country was occupied by the Orlesian Empire, your father and grandfather served the embattled kings of your land. Today, your elder brother takes up House Kuzlan's banner in service to the crown, not against the men of Orlais, but against the bestial Darkspawn rising in the south.
I trust then that your troops will be here shortly.
I expect they will start arriving tonight, and we can march tomorrow. I apologize for the delay, my lord. This is entirely my fault.
No. The appearance of the Darkspawn in the south has us all scrambling, doesn't it? I only received the call from the king a few days ago myself. I'll send my eldest off with my men. You and I will ride tomorrow just like the old days.
True. But we both had less gray in our hair then. And we fought Orlesians, not monsters.
At least the smell will be the same. I'm sorry, Pop, I didn't see you there. How? You remember my daughter?
I see she's become a lovely young woman. Pleased to see you again, my dear. Oh no, I left them in Amaranthine, well away from the fighting in the south. They do send their best wishes. My son Thomas asked after you. Perhaps I should bring him with me next time. Ha! To what end? She says. So glib, too. She's just like her mother when she talks like that.
See what I contend with, Hal? There is no telling my fierce girl anything these days. Make her bless her heart.
Quite talented, I'm sure. One to watch.
At any rate, Pop, I summoned you for a reason. While your brother and I are both away, I'm leaving you in charge of the castle. Only a token force is remaining here, and you must keep peace in the region. You know what they say about mice when the cat is away, yes? There's also someone you must meet. Please, show Duncan in.
It is an honor to be a guest within your hall, Tyrn Kuzland.
Your lordship, you didn't mention that a Grey Warden would be present.
Duncan arrived just recently, unannounced. Is there a problem?
Of course not. But a guest of this stature demands certain protocol. I am at a disadvantage.
We rarely have the pleasure of seeing one in person, that's true. Pup, Brother Aldous taught you who the Grey Wardens are, I hope. I apologize, Duncan. That Aldous has nerve teaching my children such slanderous nonsense.
I take no offense. The Grey Wardens are not what we once were.
I'll not have the Wardens spoken ill of in my household. Without them, the Darkspawn would have killed us all in the first blight. You are the only reason men still live in Thedas. Duncan is looking for recruits before joining us and his fellow Wardens in the south. I believe he's got his eye on Sir Gilmore.
If I might be so bold, I would suggest that your daughter is also an excellent candidate.
Honor though that might be, this is my daughter we're talking about. Do you hear that, Duncan? My daughter is not interested. So unless you intend to invoke the right of conscription...
Have no fear. While we need as many good recruits as we can find, I've no intention of forcing the issue.
Pup, can you ensure that Duncan's requests are seen to while I'm gone? In the meantime, find Fergus, and tell him to lead the troops to Ostagar ahead of me. We'll talk before I leave tomorrow. We must discuss the battle plans in the south. Be a good lass and do as I've asked. We'll talk soon.
Yes? We fought together under King Maric when he drove the Orlesians out of Ferelden. Heady times. The years since have not held the same promise. It's not something a youth would understand. It will be good to ride beside your father again. Poor weather, I believe. Their progress has been slow, but it's nothing you need worry about. In a manner of speaking, if I had reinforced our border levies earlier, my troops could have left before the rains. I confess, my confidence in your father allowed me some complacency. I guess that makes it as much his fault. I thank you. That is quite unnecessary. Oh, really, you should do as your father asked. The trouble ahead won't wait for these little chats. The topic has come up from time to time. The young and their infatuations. I'm sure that was years ago. People change. To be honest, I have no expectations. And your father seems determined to let you find your own way. If something did happen, well, we'd address it as befits a family of our stature. Your father's permissiveness has made you willful, indeed. It may not always serve you so well. I thank you. That is quite unnecessary.
I'm sorry, but I believe your father wishes to talk to the Arl and myself alone. Very well. I doubt your father would mind a slight delay. Indeed. We spotted a horde assembling in the Korkari Wilds not 3 weeks ago. Luckily, King Kaelan took us at our word and marshaled Ferelden's forces quickly. The first battles have already been fought. Your father and I must move quickly. Thousands. Perhaps 10,000 or more in this horde. Normally the Darkspawn stay in the deep roads. It bodes ill that so many risk the surface. Well, I understand the first battles have gone easily.
Indeed. Are the Grey Wardens sure this is a blight, and not simply some large Darkspawn raid?
No archdemon has been sighted yet, my lord. But with my entire soul, I believe this is a blight.
I wish we shared your faith. I suppose we shall see for ourselves once we arrive at the King's camp.
I have only found a couple of worthy candidates in my travels across Ferelden. Your father invited me here, suggesting this Sir Gilmore. If he is not suitable, I will head south and join up with the King. Not well. King Kaelan is an eager young man who has shown great wisdom in responding to the Darkspawn threat.
I've heard he's a bit enraptured with the Grey Warden legend, and that is why he caters to your order.
How? That is unworthy of you.
He only repeats what we've all heard. Whatever the King's reasons, I'll take his support. The priority is defeating the Darkspawn before they threaten all of Ferelden. Until we speak again.
Shouldn't you be off to your brother, as I asked? Upstairs in his chambers, no doubt. Saying goodbye to Oriana and your nephew. Your brother and I go into battle, not an afternoon tea. Who knows what will happen to us? I will tell you, however, you're my darling daughter. I love you, and I trust you completely to carry on the Kuzlin name if the worst should happen. But don't worry about me, dear girl. You'll have enough to occupy your mind while I'm gone. when the king demands it. In fact, not sending our forces south would be a distinctly bad idea. Don't worry, pup. You shouldn't see many problems, but I want you to prepare the men left here, in case. Legends of the Blights tell of horrible things. These Darkspawn once threatened many lands. If we can't hold them, you must prepare for the worst. I'm scared myself, but we are Kuzlans, and we do what must be done. But let's not speak of ominous things. We shall assume that all will go well, and the Maker will watch over us. I'll talk to you soon. Just let me finish my meeting with Duncan.
Greetings, my lady. You are the Terran's daughter, are you not? I am a member of Alhal's personal guard. The rest of the Arl's forces are expected tonight. I understand you shall take charge of your father's castle once we march. Ah, then I wish you luck. Good evening, my lady.
It is begun.
Maker, prepare a place for us. Redeem our world from sin. Forgive our transgressions.
Maker, forgive us all!
Have you come to pray for your brother and father? I'd be happy to ask for the Maker's blessings with you. Please, child, call me Malol. I've known you since you were a wee babe after all. Creator of the sky, the land, and the sea. Hear your people in our time of need. Let no man have cause to fear the shadows. Let their souls be lifted upon your return. So let it be. There now. I'll be keeping a vigil tonight. You're welcome to come. There are many more who must receive the Maker's blessings before they leave. If you would excuse me. I cannot. Many await my attendance before they march into the unknown. We shall talk once the soldiers have departed.
Good evening, my lady.
Very well.
There you are. Your mother told me the Terran had summoned you, so I didn't want to interrupt. Pardon my abruptness, my lady. It's simply that I've been looking everywhere for you. I fear your hound has the kitchens in uproar once again, and is threatening to leave. No matter how the maids try to keep him out, he always finds a way in. You know these Mabari hounds. He'll listen to his mistress, but anyone else risks having an arm bitten off. I'm not willing to test that. You're quite lucky to have your own Mabari warhound, you know. Smart enough not to talk, my father used to say. Of course, that means he's easily bored. Nan swears he confounds her just to amuse himself. At any rate, your mother would have me accompany you until the matter is settled, shall we? She was entertaining Lady Landra and her son when I left her. Perhaps in the atrium? Before we go, my lady, might I beg a question? I've heard from several people that a Grey Warden is here. Is that true? Then, is it also true that this Grey Warden was asking after me? Maker's breath, are you certain? Can you imagine me, a Grey Warden? It would be everything I've dreamed of. Of course, I shouldn't get ahead of myself. Pardon my outburst.
Good evening, milady. Good evening, milady.
Hello, my dear girl. By chance, I am beginning to teach these young squires about your family's history.
Do we have to? History is boring.
Boys, you are referring to the Couslands, the very family in whose castle you live. Show some respect. I see you haven't changed. Perhaps it would benefit you to join our lesson. Perhaps you could make the topic more palatable for these lads and their minuscule intellects. Wonderful. Oh, the Cousland history is long indeed. Where shall we start? Well, I'm glad some of my lessons don't disappear into that yawning chasm between your ears, young lady. A pity you don't spend the same care whetting the edge of your mind as your tongue. At any rate, your family has held the tournure of High Ever since before King Calenhad united Ferelden. In fact, Jenya Elethea Cousland battled Calenhad to maintain High Ever's independence. Well, the Couslands are ardent royalists now, but at that time, Calenhad was unknown and considered dangerous by many. When Calenhad's army reached High Ever, Jenya Elethea led the local bands against him. Obviously, Calenhad won. The history between the Couslands and the House reaches back to the Orlesian occupation. During your grandfather's rule, of course, Orlais found it difficult to hold these lands. During the rebellion against Orlais, several battles were fought near High Ever. The port village of Harper's Ford was the tourneur's center. Its Arl was Tarleton Howe. Though nearly 90, he was still as sharp and bitter as cheap ale. Your grandfather openly supported the rebellion, but Howe sided with Orlais. Your family was forced to seize Harper's Ford before it was all over. The Howes eventually joined the rebellion, when all of Ferelden united behind King Merrick and General Logain. just as now we united behind Merrick's son, King Kalen, to fight the Darkspawn. Records are vague, but the Kuzlins became Tiers during the Black Age. Is that familiar, child? Good. I'm pleased some of my lessons seem to have stuck. At that time, your family held only the minor title of Ban. When the werewolves reached this area, Ban Mather Kuzlin organized a curfew and patrols within the city. Several other local bands supported his efforts by swearing oaths of fealty, making him their tier. Thank you for indulging an old man.
Oh, does that mean we have to listen to you now?
Silence! I will not have you two becoming smart-mouthed hooligans. Perhaps you should go. I doubt they need any more distraction. I'm just going to settle in here and apparently just talk to myself.
Mother says the Darkspawn will all be killed and I won't see one. Is that true? Mother says the Darkspawn will all be killed and I won't see one. Is that true?
We will serve you while the Terran is away.
We will serve you well, Terran is gone.
Very, very well.
My lady, we were just, well, the treasury's safe. I'm not even sure why the town stationed us here. I don't know. Nobody has come to look at the treasury. The town, and perhaps the tanner. I honestly don't know, my lady. My lady is very kind to show us such lenience.
Thank you for your lenience, my lady. Thank you for your lenience, my lady.
And my dear Bryce bought this pack from Orlais last year. Marcus who gave it to him was drunk, I understand, and mistook Bryce for the king. Here is my daughter, along with Sir Gilmore. Tell me, Sir Gilmore, has my papa collared that dog yet?
Not just yet, your ladyship.
Darling, do take care of that. That malodorous hound of yours is an excellent protector, but he drives Nan to distraction. Don't give Mother a headache. Sir Gilmore, see that it gets done.
As your ladyship commands.
Good. With any luck, I'll be able to feed my guests before the end of next week. Darling, you remember Lady Landra?
I think we last met at your mother's spring salon. You're too kind, dear girl. Didn't I spend half the salon trying to convince you to marry my son?
And made a very poor case for it, I might add.
You remember my son, Dyron. He's not married yet either.
Don't listen to her. It's good to see you again, milady. You're looking as beautiful as ever.
And this is my lady in waiting, Iona. Do say something, dear.
It is a great pleasure, my lady. You are as pretty as your mother describes.
You would think that it would make it easier to make a match for her, but more difficult.
Perhaps your daughter simply has a mind of her own, your ladyship. You should be proud.
Proud doesn't get me any more grandchildren. All evidence to the contrary.
I think perhaps I shall rest now, my dear. Dyron, I will see you and Iona at supper.
Perhaps we'll retire to the study for now.
Good evening, your ladyship. Sir Gilmore.